ATONE Heart of the Elder Tree is an incredibly stylized journey through Norse mythology, blending well-known legends with its own intriguing tale of family, destiny and choice. It started out life on the Apple Arcade service and inherits a few mobile-centric designs, but it remains an epic adventure worth experiencing on PC, just so long as you're in the mood for a lot of reading and often sitting back and just listening to a story. Seeing as ATONE was probably designed to be played in short bursts, it's incredibly dense when it comes to both the storytelling and gameplay. The tale revolves around Estra, but begins with a prologue that introduces her father and their tribe, the ATORE. It's set in an age where the Norse gods and their legends are increasingly forgotten by humanity, but the ATORE were blessed by Odin to enforce his laws, protect Yggdrasil, from which they draw their Odal power, and guard the Bifrost, the gate between Midgard and Asgard. One fateful night, a mysterious warrior with radiant blue veins lays waste to the village and slays Estra's father, shortly after he gives her his pendant and tells her to run. Fast forward 10 years and Estra is living a quiet life on the outskirts of a village, helping out where she can, but adrift without a clear purpose, deeply skeptical of her tribe's purpose and the gods they're meant to serve. However, that morning, she encounters and bonds with Spirit Frog Ree and witnesses villagers driven to violence by a plague that turns blood blue in their veins. This is the catalyst for an epic adventure across Midgard that'll put Estra, using both her combat skills and wits, against Norse deities, mythical creatures, corrupted humans, and her own doubts. As the blue vein sickness seems to affect those who succumb to grief or rage, ATONE uses this as an opportunity to blend mythical fables with all-too-real trauma, highlighting parallels and questioning the moral values they teach. Of course, it helps no end that it's consistently well written, moves at a brisk pace, and the intensely cinematic cutscenes feature striking aesthetics. From a distance, ATONE might look like an isometric RPG with a world to explore and quest in, but that's only half true. Although densely packed with things to do, progress through its beautiful environments is almost entirely linear, with fixed storytelling events, a limited number of battles, a handful of optional collectibles, and several moments of player choice that affect the fate of secondary characters in the ending sequence. As much as I love the premise and mystery narrative, ATONE relies heavily on passive storytelling. There are dozens of documents and shrines recounting Norse legends, while many interactions with quest givers or optional NPCs are used to recount a personal tale or a Norse legend to Estra. Some narrated, but many just lines upon lines of dialogue, to the point it can feel like a visual novel. The good news is that much of this information is useful, and often provides Estra with the knowledge she needs to solve several riddles and avoid several fights, or at least make sure she's picking the right fight. When it comes to the more traditional gameplay, ATONE fares better, even if the world is so densely packed it feels artificial. Every area you traverse includes one or more puzzles, usually opening a path forward or revealing a secret, and these were always the highlight. They're grouped into several categories, like solving logic riddles, finding hidden switches on a grid, or rearranging scrambled images, but ATONE strives to ensure they escalate in difficulty as you go, and the clues are never too cryptic. All of them can be solved with a bit of reading, logic, or by studying the nearby environment. Puzzles leading to optional rewards usually offer limited attempts, but you can consume a trading resource for a hint, or retry failed puzzles by consuming a magic point. It's honestly worth tackling every one of them, as they provide several items required to complete the side quests, healing consumables for combat, and upgrades to several Odal magic types that improve Estra's survivability. The puzzles are just tough enough to keep you engaged, but they never become a roadblock that could ruin the narrative pacing. Of course, the most marketed feature is the rhythm-based battles that manage to look and sound incredible while still providing a clear beat to follow. You've got to keep to the rhythm, building up and sustaining a gauge until striking the enemy a few times. At the same time, you need to avoid fumbling too many inputs, dropping it into the red, and taking a blow yourself. Despite having limited success with rhythm games in the past, I found the normal mode, with 2 simultaneous tracks, more than manageable with a few healing consumables as a backup. If you struggle with this aspect, story mode ensures you win regardless of your performance. If you enjoy pain, hard mode ramps it up to 4 tracks that neither my brain nor fingers could handle on keyboard or gamepad. A big part of ATONE Heart of the Elder Tree's appeal is the hand-drawn art style and the soundtrack. The aesthetics are striking, atmospheric, and it often looks incredibly cinematic during cutscenes that sport film-like direction. The isometric overworld reminded me of Hyperlight Drifter, while the cutscenes in Rhythm Battle share some DNA with another world or flashback. It's all hard and angular, but expressive animations combined with polygons of contrasting colour, rather than textured surfaces, all bring the world to life. Lighting and reflections are handled in a similar angular style, and they look great. These stylish visuals are backed up by a soundtrack that's an enjoyable blend of traditional but atmospheric fantasy tunes during exploration and puzzle sequences, but the real highlights are the more dramatic orchestral pieces for the cutscenes, and the epic battle tracks that range from tension-building string pieces to synth-heavy electronic beats. The most variable element of the presentation was the voice acting. It's limited to important cutscenes and a few key interactions, but several voice actors sound stilted or forced in their delivery. I could never be sure if it was actual Scandinavian voice actors just clashing with local accents, or if it was New Zealanders trying to emulate English with a Scandinavian accent. This is more of a nitpick though, as it does little to undermine the storytelling. Wrapping up, ATONE, Heart of the Elder Tree might be arriving 3 years late for PC gamers, but don't let its mobile origins put you off. It tells a briskly paced and fascinating story that provides a crash course on Norse mythology, while still dealing with grounded and relatable trauma, all told with incredible style. The world is absurdly dense with engaging puzzles and rhythm-testing battles, but you can see the credits roll in less than 8 hours and still feel like you went on an epic journey. It's a breath of fresh air in an industry all too often willing to sacrifice narrative pacing so they can market game length as if it's some indication of value. If you've got this far, please consider giving the video a like and maybe subscribing to our channel as it helps us grow.